What's on Your Mind is sponsored by ACC 339.0, New Style Radio 98.7 FM, Breakthrough Studios, and Reggae Jam Jam.
Good afternoon. How you doing? Welcome to another program in the series of What's on Your Mind. I'm Carl. Program is produced by Breakthrough TV. So how you doing? Hope all is well with you. Let me say big shout out to all you guys who tune into the program, yeah? Massive respect. Don't forget, this is a live stream. We are directly here, streaming live across the world. Also want to say big thanks to my wonderful guests that we have in the studio last week, Sister Maureen Watson. Let me say big shout out to you, sister. Hope all is well with you. Thank you for taking part in the program. And we talk about Women's Month, didn't we? And it was absolutely marvelous. And don't forget, you can catch Maureen with the Big Ship Alliance Band. Absolutely fantastic. So check her out. And don't forget, you can also go and check out a recording we did with Big Ship Alliance at the Hare and Hound in King's Heath. And we actually go to Breakthrough TV, Big Ship Alliance, and you will actually see that wonderful video that we did of Big Ship Alliance. Big shout out to you. And those guys are doing actually very well. Yeah. Also want to say big shout out to Miss Culture Jam. Big shout out to you, Miss Culture Jam. Miss Culture Jam got the open mic fever at the Legacy Center of Excellence tonight, 144 Potters Lane, and say she is down there with a host of artists and a host of stars down there doing fantastic work. Want to say big shout out to you, Miss Culture Jam. And I'm still haven't been able to get over that poem that you actually told us when you actually came into the studio about the soup. Or I should say the Saturday soup. Absolutely marvelous. Absolutely fantastic. So you can go and check that show out later on, whatever you're doing. You know, I think it starts possibly now, actually. It's on its way now, so you can go and check that show out down there. And it's Easter. Yeah, we're coming up to Good Friday. I love Good Fridays. When I was growing up, to us, Good Friday was a very special day. Absolutely marvelous. You know, so I do love Good Fridays. And my early family used to say to me, if you're playing Carl, don't cut that tree or don't do anything to that tree because that tree will actually bleed. I think they said there was a liquid that actually comes from the tree that was red, you know what I mean? That was the sort of information we get. But it wasn't happening. It's just one of those things that they used to tell us, you know? And I think there's actually trees that actually do, when you cut them, they actually do give like a red juice, you know what I mean? There's some people call it blood, you know what I mean? But I do like I must say I do like my Good Fridays, and I do like my Easter as well. And what you having for Easter? Are you having the bun and cheese? Are you having the Easter egg? Or are you having the fish? I do like my fish. In fact, I don't get enough fish. I don't eat enough fish, you know what I mean? So I do like my fish. As for the cheese, I'm not a very big cheese person. And the other thing about the cheese is that you got to watch your cholesterol with cheese. That is my that is my health ticker all about the cheese, you know. So I don't sort of really I'm not into cheese. I haven't been in cheese in a big way, you know what I mean? So I can't take the cheese. I can't take a lot of dairy products, to be quite honest. I stay away from those sort of stuff, you know what I mean? But that's just me. I'm not telling you guys to stay away from it. It's just me in general. I stay away from dairy products. I don't really like them. When you grow up, that's how you should eat a lot of dairy products, and then you realize what it's doing to your body. You just start, you know what I mean? I don't really need this, so yeah, I don't do that. And also, don't forget, I got coming up on the show, I got a very special guest this afternoon. We're going to talk to him on the phone, you know what I mean, in a little while. And she's all the way in Jamaica. So we're going down to Jamaica. I'm going to go to a gentleman called Mr. Carlos Gabidan. And hopefully we can actually get him on the line and have a good chat. He's going to tell us a little bit about, because I've mentioned this before, he's going to tell us a little bit about the wonderful island that he actually lives in. And he's also a musician. He's going to tell us a little bit about that as well. And he's also going to tell us my favorite story. What is my favorite story? I started this a couple of weeks ago. Ghost, Dopey. And he tells us that he actually sees a lot of Dopey over the years. So we're going to have that conversation a bit later on. And as you know, I always look at quite a few things that is actually happening in the news across the world, you know what I mean? And what a week it has been. And there's some crazy things being going on. I look at it from my perspective, but I should also say to you, a lot of these stories that we actually get is authentic stories, you know what I mean? It's stories we find the proper source and we put, and nothing here is false, you know? We go to the proper source, we go for the proper research, and we do this and we put it out there, you know what I mean? That's how we talk about it. And then I put my spin on it, which is all true. And I sometimes, depends on the story, sometimes I have a laugh and a joke with it, and then sometimes I don't. When it's serious, I try not to laugh, even though I'm a very, very happy person and I'm a very, very laughy person. Wherever you are, let me say big, big shout out to you and say, let me say, shall I say Happy Easter then? Yeah, I suppose I got to say Happy Easter. But people say Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas, but I'm going to say Happy Easter wherever you are in the world. Let me say thank you for tuning in. Also, big shout out to my friends. You know who you are. Errol, I want to say big, big shout out to you, sir. Hope all is well with you. Also, want to say big shout out to you, Mr. Richards, the Richards family. Big, big shout out to you. Also, Hector, I want to say big, big shout out to you. The Bailey family, I want to say big, big shout out to you. The Williamson family, I want to say big shout out to you. The McPhee family, I want to say big shout out to you. The McLeod family, I want to say big, big shout out to you. All guys know who you are. The Williamson family, I want to say big shout out to you. And massive, massive respect. The Blake family, I want to say big shout out to you. The Whitmore family, I want to say big shout out to you. The Campbell family, I want to say big, big shout out to you. Wherever you are in the world. There's so many of us. There's so many people I got to sort of big up. And I'm going to do the roll call. I'm going to do roll call pretty soon. I said I was going to do it this week, but I'm not going to do the roll call this week. I'll probably do it when because we're up to about 100 and 105 and 510. We're up to about 104 programs. So I actually do, when we go 52, I'll actually do the 104, when we get to 104, I'll probably do the roll call there. And all the different people that we've had on the show. I want to say a big, big shout out to you for taking the time out. Last week was our 100th program, which is absolutely marvelous, and it is actually great to do that. And it was, I'll say sometimes it's a bit of a challenge, but we actually get to that sort of situation, which is absolutely marvelous. So we want to say thank you all you guys who actually came and take part in those 100 programs. We're gonna go back to that very, very soon. You know what I mean? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. As I say, I hope you're having a good day, and I hope all is well with you. And don't forget, as I say, to like, share, and subscribe to the program. And be good to each other. And as I say, if you're having the Easter bun, let me say a big, big shout out to you. Well, please, somebody out there will send me some fish. No matter what fish it is, I will eat it. I like snapper. I like mullets. My mother used to do this wonderful fish called whiting. I haven't seen it for years, but it was absolutely a nice, fleshy fish, you know what I mean? But I have something there. And when I also like my little sprat fish as well. I like those as well. Those little tiny little ones. The trouble is when you cook them, they smell so strong. But I do like those sort of fish. I will eat a lot of different fish, you know what I mean? As I say, I haven't been eating a lot of fish because I'm not a very, very big meat person. You know what I mean? So those are the sort of things. I'm not a very, very big meat person. The other thing is, I'm not a very, very big food person either. I just eat food to survive and keep me healthy. I've never been, my own family where I actually was born, will tell you that I've never been a very, very big food person. You know what I mean? Because to me, now have a listen to this then. They're going to say, that's why I'm so mager. That's why I'm so small. I've always believed all you need really is just a handful of food to keep you going at any time. Just my handful of food. That's all I need to keep me going most times. Because you see, I mean, a lot of people say they have the rice, carb. They have the banana, carb. They have the potato, carb. They have the sweet potato, carb. They have all this carb, and they have them all in the same plate. Let me drop it into that language now. They have them all in the same plate. Them plate full of carbs. Yeah? and the trouble about it, they've got no vegetable. Also on the program, I've got a very, very special guest, as I say, coming up. You know what I mean? We're going to try and see if we can sort of link him and see if he's there. You know what I mean? Let me see if we can sort of get in touch with this wonderful brother from Jamaica. I want to say big shout out to you, Mr. Gabidan. How you doing? Are you there, sir? Are you there? Hello, can I hear you?
Yeah, I'm here, Mr. Campbell.
Okay, let me hear you, sir. How are you? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing great, Mr. Campbell.
Yeah, let me say thank you, Mr. Gabidan, for actually taking part in the show. How's your day been?
Well, my day has been a pleasant day,
Yeah.
Sunshiny day in Jamaica, right?
I was going to say that. I was just going to ask you about the weather. What is it? As I say, is it very, very sunny out there?
Yeah, it's very, very sunny, and we're having a very nice climatic weather here.
Yeah.
Sunshine in and out.
Yeah. Great. I wish I was actually out there. You know what I mean? You've got a very famous name. Are you related to any of the Gabidan? Because I know quite a few musicians who are actually Gabidan.
Yeah, well, to be frank, all the Gabidans that you know out there and you saw on the Facebook, we're all one family.
Oh, you're all one family. Because I know
Yeah, one family, but
I know the famous Basil Gabidan very, very well, and I also know who was actually a member of the original Steel Pals. And I also there's another Gabidan whose name is Spicy Finger. Does a lot of poem as well. Big shout out to you wherever you are.
okay.
Yeah, so as
Yeah, we are one family, but some of us not knowing it, that we are one family.
yeah,
It's just recently, because of the Facebook, and
yeah,
we start seeing, because I thought I was the only Gabidan living in Jamaica here in my community.
okay,
But when I started going on the Facebook, and I started seeing a whole lot of Gabidans,
okay,
but actually, done a research,
mm,
and I found out that the Gabidan family is a very large family,
okay,
and our foreparents are from Ghana, now Gambia,
oh,
actually.
okay. That is actually marvelous.
Yes.
That
Yeah, so the name Gabidan, it's an African name, out of Gambia.
okay, and you're also a musician. You write songs. As you say, you're playing instruments, and tell us a little bit about your music.
Well, I'm a songwriter, and also a singer.
Yeah,
Yeah, I started out doing music from in the 80s, from in the 90s.
okay,
After leaving school, I started doing music. I started out as a DJ.
okay, all right.
Yeah, I was.
That is great.
Pardon me?
That is great. You can tell us a little bit more as the show goes on. Okay. As you know, we're gonna continue. Let me say thank you for your introduction there. As you know, I always look at a few things that's happening across the world, and I will sometimes encourage your own comment of what is actually happening across the world. Okay. Let me say thank you for that. Now, guys, as you know, as I say,
Okay.
I always look at a few things that is happening across the world, and as you say, Donald Trump charges of falsifying business records. Yeah, and this is happening actually a Manhattan court. You know what I mean? I say he's pleaded not guilty. Yeah, and as I say, it is one of those sort of situation, and he's the first president or the first ex-president that has been charged with a criminal offense. Yeah. And as I say, I think the case comes up again later on in the year. And Donald Trump, when he comes into court, he looks very, very when he comes into court, he looks like really upbeat, yeah. And then all of a sudden, when he was in court sitting down, the camera wasn't in court, but you actually see some photographs of him, you know what I mean? And he was just there looking as if he was sort of lost, or he was out of his pool, or he's out of his own depth, you know what I mean? And as I say, that is also another one of those things that with the Donald Trump, you know what I mean? And as I say, but when he actually comes out again, and he was back to his own back at his own ranch, he was actually saying one of the things he actually came out with was he actually came out with an actual statement which and I say he's in his indictment, he actually comes out with an actual phrase. The former president came out which says, claim that the U.S. is going to hell. Now that is strong stuff. You know what I mean? I love America. I love the land of America. You know what I mean? And when he comes out with a statement like that, you know what I mean? That it's just one of those things that you can't get your head around. You know what I mean? Me personally, I would never ever say, no matter if I can't tolerate you or you can't tolerate me, I would never say to you, you're going to hell. You know what I mean? That is a very, very strong statement to actually comes out with. You know what I mean? And I say it's one of those ones. And I say he's involved. The actual charge surrounding also two ladies. One lady, an adult film star. Allegedly, he paid money to her for keeping quiet. This was before the 2016 presidential election. You know what I mean? And as you know now in America, they always find different things to call these situations. And you know, like we have Watergate. In England, we have Partygate. We have all got different gates. And I know somebody's going to call it something gate sooner or later. No, I was actually trying to find what to call it. Now, and then I think hush gates, hush money gates. What are the situations to sort of call this this sort of situation that Donald Trump is actually getting up to. You know what I mean? And they say he's been indicted and he's actually charged. And I say business wise, I think he was actually out. I think what is actually going on there still is because that the fact he probably has this company and he wasn't paying money, or he wasn't paying his taxes. You know what I mean? I think that is actually probably the bottom line why they've actually charged him. You know what I mean? Or he probably has this company and they say he didn't have this company, so he wasn't keeping a proper record of whatever he was doing. You know what I mean? And this is why they actually sort of bring him into focus. And I don't know if you're there, Mr. Carlos. Have you got any input on that, please?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Campbell. I saw the whole news footage of Mr. Donald Trump, and they're saying that he's the first president that this had ever happened to.
Yeah, he's the first. He's the first. You know what I mean? And,
it seems like, I don't know. It seems like they have something up his sleeve, you know. why they have done this to him? Why they are interrogating him so much, you know?
Yeah. I say we as I say we don't know. You can't say anybody's guilty until they you know exactly what they
until they can be proven guilty.
Yeah, and I say he's allegedly paid money to a lady called Stormy Daniels, and I say she's an adult film star. You know what I mean? I think that is that really kicks it off at the particular period of time. You know what I mean? And he's as I say, he's denied it all. So we'll wait and see what happens to that. Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Right. Let me move on. Now, this is London. It comes to London. Now, a lady in London, her name is Sheila Saloni. Now, Sheila Saloni, 61-year-old lady, was found in her London flat 2 years after she died. Now, 2.5 years, I should say, after she died. And neighbors have actually, in the past, neighbors have actually reported that they smell things that was actually coming from the flat. They see maggots that was around the flat. And they actually reported a couple of times. And it seemed like nobody, you know, crossed the dots and the T's, you know what I mean? And the housing organization, one Peabody, they actually tell Peabody about this, and yet there's still nothing. One situation, the police was actually told, and the police actually said they actually cite this lady. However, it was they actually say they see her out and about, but it was false. They never actually see her, you know what I mean? So it is one of those ridiculous situations again. And you don't understand how somebody can be in a flat for 2.5 years, a dead body. The only way they actually recognize her was by her dental records. You know what I mean? And sometimes it makes you wonder what sort of world are you living in if that is happening, you know what I mean? Somebody didn't knock. Somebody didn't see what was going on with this lady for 2.5 years before they actually found the body. But the thing that actually comes to why I'm actually talking about this story now, a lady, Audrey, one lady, Audrey, she says actually what she's actually doing, she's actually, they're thinking of taking action against the housing organization, which is actually Peabody. And they said they actually trying to find some legal way of actually suing this housing organization because they didn't mark the dots and they didn't cross the T's. And I said this lady, this is from South London, and this lady is actually a British-born lady, and she's actually was a medical secretary. And I say when you see things like that, you just think, my days. This is actually just a tremendous situation to happen to and her original family is actually from Nigeria. You just wonder what is going on when you see this absolutely this sort of thing is actually going on. Yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, I actually need to move on. Now, this is also another very, very interesting story, which is actually coming from the Daily Mail. Police strip search children as young as 8. And this comes out in there was a report about Child Q. You know, Child Q was a 15-year-old girl who was actually allegedly school teachers smelled cannabis in her, and they actually came to the school and they actually strip searched her. Yes. And the Commissioner for Child Agency and the Children Commissioner has actually gone into the report, and she actually says 2,480, 2,000, sorry, my apologies, 284, 800, 2,847 children, yeah, were actually strip searched in 2018. And some of these children have been strip searched by police. They happen in police vehicle, it happened in recreation area, it happened in school. And British African Caribbean children are 6 times more likely to be stopped and searched than the Caucasian population of the United Kingdom. And I say, there's also a big protest, a big petition about this, which is actually going on around. They're actually saying that children below the age of 18, 18 should not be stopped and searched. So that petition is actually developing at fast pace at the moment. And I say, you don't know why this is happening. You can't. This is actually immoral when you see children that age is being stopped and searched and actually strip searched. Yeah. Please leave your comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, let me go to my next story. My next story is also another very, very interesting story. Now, my next story, I go to Jamaica. Now, an 18-year-old woman, 18-year-old young lady. Now, she went missing last weekend, and they actually couldn't find her. However, she's actually now turned up, and she's actually dead. And they say, the wonderful lady, Tisha Hall, rumors is that she was she likes to be out and about. And she has a little young child. I say that she's like what you call, like to be out there. But I think she also got a nickname called Slammer. Or Slimmer, yeah. So I say she's out and about. But as I said, they was actually looking for her and they couldn't find her. Finally, she actually turned up. This was dead. And the situation about that, she turns up dead. And one of her, it's alleged she was out with two of her friends or two of her colleagues. And one of the friends she was actually out is a young lady called, a young man called Twin. And another man called Brownie. And they was actually at weekend, they was out about a weekend, and it was actually at a club the weekend. And one person actually get jealous of the other person. And the young lady, Tisha, was actually found dead. They tried to find her, and she was actually found dead. And she was actually found dead in a cornfield. Her body was actually start decomposing, you know what I mean? Which is absolutely a terrible situation to happen to such a young lady. And when that sort of situation, you just don't know what happened. So it's a very, very sad situation when you see a young lady with a child. You know what I mean? And I say the twin, one is called Twin and the other one is called Brownie. Well, Twin has actually he's actually confessed that he actually killed her. And I say he actually confessed that he killed her and buried her body in actually a cane field. And that is how they actually find this wonderful young lady. And once again, we see crime in Jamaica and murder in Jamaica. The murder rate for Jamaica is still going up, you know what I mean? And I got to tell you my next story. And this is also, you can hold that story from me because I still need to talk about another story, which is also another terrible situation that actually happens. Now, a father has been on the run in Jamaica. And he's been on the run because he actually kills his daughter in East Kingston, Elliston in Kingston. And it is believed that he actually killed his daughter. He actually stabbed her. Now, and the young lady, her name is Calvert. Her last name is actually Calvert. I know that name from somewhere. And she actually lived in Barry Street. And I say she actually, the father allegedly killed her. And he actually ran away. And then he finally turned up. And when he finally turned up, they actually found him. His wrist was slashed. His throat was cut. And he had handcuffs on. So, I don't know if he tried to kill himself or what, but that is actually what happens. So they actually finally found this man, you know what I mean, which is actually another disgraceful story. And the JCF force, the Jamaica Constable Force, has actually pleaded to people if they see any signs of domestic violence or domestic abuse, they should actually report this. And also victims, even if it doesn't affect you or if you see anything like this, you should actually report this. And I'll report this as soon as you can. And today, I was talking about the sort of killing in Jamaica, the sort of murder in Jamaica. Today, there's only, up until this year, March, there's 303 murders in Jamaica. It is slightly down from last year. Last year, this time, I think it was about 389, but it's actually slightly down this year. It's down to about 70 odd, which is absolutely so. We see 70 odd is still too much. You know what I mean? I mean 303 is too much, and 70 odd down is still too much. And I think one of the highest place that there's murder rate is actually in St. James now. So we see there's crazy situation going on. I wonder if I can sort of engage Carlos there, but what do you think about sort of situation? Carlos, are you there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Campbell.
Can you hear me? What do you make of the all this killing that we see coming out of Jamaica?
To tell you the truth, Mr. Campbell, boy, it is so saddening, knowing that our own people killing our own people. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It is so sad to not knowing that is that we just lost the love. There's no more love anymore. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Real. And all of these things that is taking place in Jamaica, it's just giving the country a bad reputation.
It does.
You understand?
It does. Is there any answer? What is the answer? What is in your opinion? I mean, you live in Jamaica. I myself lived in Jamaica in my early days. What is some of the things we can actually do? I mean, everybody's got everybody's got an opinion in this. What is your opinion in this?
Well, all of this crime happenings, it's coming from the younger youths them. You understand what I say?
Yeah.
The younger youths them in Jamaica right now, it's like them just have idle hands,
Yeah.
Most of them having nothing to do.
Yeah.
So and the government's not creating any jobs.
Any
You
works?
understand, for them to be employed.
Yeah.
You understand, to get them their hands working.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because it says that that devil find work for idle hands,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So when someone just sitting down and having nothing to do, to occupy their time, they find other things to do.
Yeah.
So this is why they tend to indulge in crimes and some illegal activities.
Yeah. What about we talk about, I mean, you said it, so we talk about youth clubs. What about more education? I mean, we talk about education. I know, and the government putting more money into education, or educating the young people, or developing some scheme for younger people to sort of get involved in or do. Yeah.
Well, educational wise, most people right now, that leave college and university, they most of them get their qualification, their degrees and their diplomas and so forth.
Yes, we know
but
that.
as I say, that there is not much job opportunity out there for them to do.
Yeah.
Most of them having their qualification, but apart from that,
Yeah.
they need something to do.
Yeah.
And without any job provided out there for them,
What about
people just gonna do just about anything.
Well, what about the government setting up some scheme where they can actually get some funds to sort of help to set up their own business within that context?
Well,
Is that
to be truthful,
is that a possibility?
I'm living in Jamaica, and I'm not really seeing the government doing much of that,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not into. Don't get me wrong. I'm not into the funding thing myself, but it's just a suggestion. I'm actually talking. I mean, because you got to get the money from somewhere. So, because I've seen different places talking about fund. I'm not into the funding thing myself, but in fact, I don't like that word. But I have to sort of suggest that, because that's the only way. Like, say, probably, you're gonna get the money, or sort of business get involved in getting money together and say, listen, we're gonna put all a couple of different business who makes very, very good money, because we know some business out there makes very, very good money. Or if a couple of business says, so put some money together and says, listen, we're gonna help Jamaica. We're gonna put it in this big pot, and then we can help to train the youths. You know what I mean? That's causing, so much trouble. What about that? That is also a very, very good suggestion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a very good idea. But most of the people that the migrants them that leave Jamaica and live overseas,
Yeah.
because of the crime and all this negativity of the island, and they would like to return back home. You understand? And those who that can help set up businesses in order to help the youth them. They're afraid to come back home.
Yeah,
you understand?
I do understand
to do
that.
such things.
I do understand that because I always think, I always say, one of the things I always say, and I say to a lot of my colleagues, if I could say, I could jump on a plane now, right? If I could say, jump on a plane now, and don't get me wrong, I don't say anything's going to happen. But let me just show you something. If I could jump on a plane now, get on a plane, go to any airport in London or the UK and get on a plane and jump on a plane and go to Jamaica and say to a taxi driver, if I get off at, wherever I get off at Mobay or whatever airport I get off, you know what I mean, or Kingston, what we used to call Kingston, where I get off Donald Sangster Airport, what I do that, if I could say, listen, I want to go there, and I could jump in a taxi and say, take me there, right? And I get taken there. Now, I'm not saying that I won't get taken there. You understand? But it's the fear. It's the fear that comes to you. You understand what I'm saying? And I think most people, if the government could sort that out, most people would be in Jamaica every month who live abroad. You know what I mean? So that is what they need to, and it would bring more work to the country. It would bring more trade to the country. You know what I mean? But that's what I think I always say to some of my colleagues. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly, because most of the Jamaicans them that leave Jamaica and live over abroad, they would like to come back home.
Exactly, they would come back.
Come set up.
They would come back every
businesses for the youth them.
That's right. They would come back every 6 months. Yeah. They would come back every 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people abroad that would do that, but it's as I said, it's the fear. I don't say anything that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Listen. I can go anywhere in the world. Let me tell you something now. As bad as you hear things going on around the world, I can go anywhere in the world. And 99% of the time, I can drop into the UK. Even though you hear a lot of stuff about the UK, I can drop into the UK. And I can say, if I land in London, which is all the way down the south, if I land in London and I say to a taxi driver, providing I've got the money, take me to Scotland, right? I know I will get to Scotland safely. 99% of the time, yeah, I will get to Scotland safely. And I don't have any fear. And that is what I would love to be happening in Jamaica. But, and as I say to you before, I don't think anything is going to happen, you know, but it's just the fear or the mental situation that you actually has to go through, that why you can't actually do that. And I think that is one of the biggest problem, because Jamaica is missing out on a lot of things. They're missing a lot of people coming out there that's got money to sort of invest and do different things. There's a lot of people who's got old in England, you know what I mean? I would love to come home, but they can't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's true.
Because of that fear.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. I think we went that one out.
So there's a whole lot of people out there that can help Jamaica, but they just don't want to come back to Jamaica.
Yeah. And it's
so each time they goes away, it's like the opportunity for those people who would come back and help Jamaica is like, no, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
They just tend to stay away.
Yeah. And that is actually so grieving. It's actually absolutely. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's very, very grieving, that one. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. I don't like to talk about this. I don't really like talking about this. But it's the reality of things. You know what I mean? And you sit and you think of my days. You know what I mean? And when you're Jamaican descendants, you know, it's so hard to comprehend. You know, and when you love your country, the country that you was, you know what I mean, you descended from. When you love your country and love my people, what I call love my people. You know what I mean? Regardless of what you hear across the road, when I love my people. You know what I mean? It's a very, very hard thing to sort of comprehend, because I love my people. Yeah? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Yeah? Now, let me move on. Now, this is also a very, very touchy situation. Sharique Latoya Williams. Her name is the lady you see on my screen there. Now, this lady she had a very, very good thing going for her. She created a hair herbal product, which was absolutely fantastic. A beautiful young lady, fantastic looking young lady. And her mother is actually beside her, which is actually fantastic. Look fantastic. And this actually happens in Florida, and there seems she should be doing very, very well. You know what I mean? And as I say, she's looking good. She's got this business that she created, and she's doing everything fantastic. However, she actually suffers with mental issues. Yeah. And there's a whole lot of things that's been actually going on with this lady. And at one particular time, she says she keep hearing voices. She tells friends and colleagues that she can actually hear voices and people talking to her and people actually telling her to do strange things, you know what I mean? And it's very, very hard to sort of stay away from that, you know what I mean? And say this is like a beautiful young lady. As I go on, her mother actually, Noblet Spencer Abdullah, that's her mother. And I say this lady is a wonderful lady. And as I say, she keep hearing voices, and people actually where she was actually living in a house say they hear strange things actually coming from this house, and they sometimes they call the landlord, and the landlord come and knock, and they don't hear anything, and then they go again, and the landlord come and knock, and they still don't hear anything. You know what I mean? And as I say, allegedly she told some of her friends that she actually she can't keep hearing voices. You know what I mean? She phones her friends and tell her that they actually keep to hear voices. At one particular time, they was actually looking for her, getting something. Sorry, they was actually looking for her, and she actually run out the house. I think the landlord up to the house, and actually the police came, and they was actually looking at her in the house, and then she actually running out the house, and she run out the house with her in her underwear, and that's what she had on. She run out the house in her green underwear, and she had nothing else on. And they was actually trying to calm. And she said she hear a voice, and she was shaking, and she was trembling, and she was doing all kind of things, you know what I mean? And as I said, she was very, very, in a very, very bad way. And they tried to calm her down, and she saw they didn't calm down. She run off, and she actually jumped over a fence. When she run off and she jumped over the fence, she actually ended up in the canal. And the police was there, and different people was there. And they was actually persuading her to come out of this canal. Well, finally came out of this canal, and I think the police went back to where she was actually living, and they actually find where her mother, she allegedly strangled her mother with a telephone cable. Yeah. And I say, back to the mental issue, she actually told people that she was having strange voice talking to her, and she was having a lot of strange thing that was actually going on. And the picture you see on the top, that is the same lady, you know what I mean? Look how she's changed. That is the same, the very top picture, the very forceful picture. Look how she's changed, you know what I mean? I say, and you can't actually believe to think what is actually happened to her. And she's actually charged in murdering her mother because they actually went and take her mother out of her house. And as I say, we don't know what actually happens there. I mean, so we'll keep an eye on that one and actually see what is happening there. And that is such a sad situation, because this lady was a fantastic lady, and she was actually doing fantastic. Yeah. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, my next story is like, wow. Now, Lieutenant James Harvey III, USA Air Force, one of the two surviving members of the flying team, the Top Gun. Yes, the first flying team of American Top Gun was African American, not Tom Cruise. Yeah, sorry, I always get very passionate. When I'm talking like that, I get very passionate, yeah? And if you watch my program most of the time, I will get very, very passionate when something. Now, the first African-American, as I repeat, the first African-American top pilot, World War II, that won the Top Gun award was not Tom Cruise. These guys was actually trailblazers, and I say there's only two that actually left now. James Harvey the third, he's actually won. And this has been buried for about decades, 70 years. This has been buried. No one actually comes out with it. Nobody actually says anything. When they actually win this award, it was hidden. They was told by their supervisor it was hidden. They're not gonna allow to see it. They're not gonna allow to touch it. It was hidden out of existence for 70 years. Finally, they've decided that. They decided to recognize them. Finally, 70 years later, they have decided to recognize them. And I say, these were the fighter pilots, the early fighter pilot, Top Gun pilot from the Tuskegee 332 Squadron. African American, not Tom Cruise. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. You got any feedback on that for me, Mr. Carlos?
that is so brilliant. Even though I don't like to talk about war or anything like that, but
Yeah.
knowing that this is a black person,
Yeah.
it's so awesome and so brilliant of him doing this and we knowing this history.
Yeah.
But as black, they always try to put us behind.
Yeah, because
and
see,
whenever time we done something that's supposed to be done into history, they always try to cover it up.
yeah, because we see even the pilot go and fights in the United States, the African American pilots who actually went abroad and fight, and when they come back, they were still treated disgustingly. You know what I mean? They were treated disgustingly when they actually come back. We know the history of that. You know what I mean? And if you look at the second picture, on the screen there, those are the guys that are actually getting the awards. You know what I mean? There's actually 4 of them there. Those are the guys that's actually getting the awards. You know what I mean? And they say the gentleman at the top, which is Harvey, Mr. Harvey. You know what I mean? Mr. Harvey the third. He's the one of the survivors today. And there's only one other person who's actually survived to this day. And as I say, it comes 70 years after they've done all this great work. Yeah. You don't know what's going on sometimes. You just don't know. And you can't still understand why is it hidden. Why is it hidden? Are African American, are people of color less than anybody else in the world? No. No. Don't forget to like.
We're not.
Sorry.
We're not less. They know the whole fullness, the whole truth about the black nation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why they try to keep us down. They try to push us back in order not for our talents to shine,
That's right. And they seems to do that. They seems to do that all the time. You know what I mean? They seems to do it all the time. And they call us down. They talk us down, and they let some of us be fearful. You know what I mean? Some of us be fearful, and that is reality. I can't help it. That is just the reality of things. Yeah. Right, guys. Don't forget, you can leave your comment on the screen. Yeah, I'm chatting a lot tonight, so leave your comment. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now let me move on. Let me talk about music. Now, Afrobeat artists under fire in the UK. Now, a lot of Afrobeat artists who's doing very, very well, because Afrobeat is a big thing now in the UK and across the world. Now, a lot of Afrobeat artists, according to the Voice newspaper, a lot of Afrobeat artists is refused, their visa's been refused, they can't come into the UK. And some of these artists says the UK embassy is one of the hardest embassy in the world to get past. And they said they accused, in one article with the Voice accused the Home Secretary of slavery mentality, you know what I mean? And they say it's like back to the old days, you know, the days in the 90s when actually African heritage music and the dancehall music, you know, they did exactly the same thing with dancehall artists when they was actually trying to get into the UK. And people who love music, you know what I mean, I say it's the biggest attack on African heritage music since the 90s. And I say, I don't know where it's going to stop. But I say a lot of these artists are doing very, very well, but they're not getting the visa. They're not being allowed to come into the UK. And all they want to do is come to these different festivals, do their thing, and get out again. That's all they want to do, nothing else. But I say there's a big restriction from the Home Office. And I don't know, as I say, if you check the Voice is actually carried a very, very big article on that sort of situation. So it's not coming from me and it's not made up. Yeah, we always check our story. Yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, let me move on again. Once again. Now, my next story is like, you know how I love my music. Now. Reggae music and dancehall music. Sumfest 2023, July in Mo Bay, comes with a live performance from Mr. Big Ship Eddie McGregor. Freddie McGregor, I should say. Mr. Big Ship Freddie McGregor. Alongside the Big Ship crew. And also Chino, which is actually Freddie McGregor's son. And also Stephen the Genius. Stephen the Genius. With the Code Red Band. And I say they comes to Sumfest Festival in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And also on the list is actually Morgan Heritage. And also Richie Spice. No, Richie Spice and also Luciano. No, Luciano and Richie Spice was actually, in the early days, they were actually with Big Ship Records, you know what I mean, with the big Ship label. So that is actually good to see that. Isn't it? So let me start a movement and say that was actually marvelous. Yeah. As I say, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. Now, my next story is also concerned the whole Sumfest thing. And say, moving on to my next story, I say it's concerned the whole Sumfest thing as well. And this is now the lady, Minister Marian Hall, is also on that bill. Vibrant also. And Kabaka Pyramid is on tour across Europe. He'll be back out there soon. Also, Chronic Law is also on that list. So you look out for that one right there in Jamaica. Montego Bay, Bombay, big shout out to you. And now, Morgan Heritage says, Minister Marian Hall, when she actually come to do that show, because you know there's been a lot of stuff about Sister Marian Hall, and there's been a lot of stuff about Sister Marian Hall. Well, Morgan Heritage as XSL have actually said, when Sister Marian Hall come, she don't know what's gonna happen. Because if you think she is something there now, she's gonna get into it big time. Talk to me, Mr. Carlos there. Talk to me. Are you there?
Miss Marian Hall.
Yeah. Originally lady saw.
Yeah, well, she's out there doing her thing, you know.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm.
Yeah, she have transformed herself from the secular world and, you know.
Yeah.
And gone into the ministry and praising God, you know.
Yeah.
You know, well, the Almighty said that we should go on the byways and the hedges, you know.
Yeah.
For real. So whatsoever we places she can find herself to minister the love of God to others, you know, to win soul for His kingdom. I think that is no problem for her being on the Songfest, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I actually met Sister Marian Hall in writing actually a program that I actually broadcast. I met her I think I probably met her about 2018, 2019. And she was a wonderful lady, and she actually gave me a big hug, you know what I mean? We had a great conversation, absolutely wonderful. The thing is, I remember telling my friend about it, a wonderful lady. I mean, she was actually came to do an interview with two DJs, you know, and I happened to be in the studio at the same time. And I recall she gave me a big hug and we chatted, and she actually sent her music to me. I've still got some of her music actually sent to me. She had become a Christian, she had saved. And I remember we had a great chat and we had a great laugh, you know. Now, the other thing, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and my friend said, Carl, did you take a selfie or did you take a photograph? I says, no. because I'm not really into that. I'm not a very, even though you see I do this program, I'm not a photograph person, you know what I mean? So that was a trick I actually missed, you know what I mean? Well, I said she was wonderful and actually still got some of her music, her very early gospel music when she became a Christian, you know what I mean? And I still got those on my system, yeah, which was absolutely marvelous. Wonderful lady, I must say. Wonderful. From the reaction I had with her, she was actually a wonderful lady. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's just a jovial person, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Real.
Let me move on because our time is going. Yeah. Now, moving on. Steph London, British rapper. Steph London has bought beachfront property in Jamaica, which is actually marvelous. The UK-born rapper is absolutely doing very, very well. And I think Steph London was actually originally from Birmingham with Jamaican descendants parents. So as I say, she's actually gone back to Jamaica and she's actually bought beachfront property in Jamaica, which is actually marvelous. And it's good to see that she's doing that with her money. And what it does, it will actually encourage Jamaicans and Jamaican artists who are actually doing very well abroad to sort of go and do that sort of thing, you know what I mean? Because they've always got to sort of do that, and I think that is actually a very, very good, interesting thing to actually do here. So we say big shout out to you, Steph. I think I've actually met Steph London as well many moons ago, and she actually used to come. I used to be associated with a very, very well-known record company, and I remember she actually comes there. She didn't come to the record company. She actually came. There was a tailor there, and she actually came around the back of the shop to actually meet the tailor to actually have some really nice clothes to actually sold. But that was in the very, very early days. Big shout out to you, sister. She would never remember me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the program. I've reached my rant. Now, this is also a very, very interesting rant. Now, the legendary Mr. Ziggy Marley, the son of Bob Marley, has accused Sea Salt, a luxury villa in Outer of discrimination because he is Jamaican. Yes. However, according to the Villa Sea Salt, they have said Mr. Marley, Ziggy Marley, has actually got his story inaccurate. And it's absolutely inaccurate. And they say he can come and stay at the hotel anytime that he wants, you know what I mean? But I must say now, let me play a bit of devil here. This is not the first time we hear this. Yes? This is not the first time we hear that Jamaicans living in Jamaica can't go on the beach. Some beaches are private. You can't go on the beach. I've been hearing this from I was born in Jamaica. I heard my parents say this from I was born. When my parents was born, like probably just out of the colonial period. So this is nothing new which I've actually heard. Certain places in Jamaica you won't allow. A well-known Canadian in February, a well-known Canadian had gone into Jamaica and she actually went into this here store to have her hair done. And a lady who was sort of what you call light skin, the Canadian lady says she can't tell it. She was a Jamaican Canadian, but she, you know, she's from Canada. The lady with the light skin, who was actually the owner of the hairdressing shop, she says, "I'm not doing your hair." Now, I must say, this is not about color. Let me refer this right. I'm not talking about color here. I'm talking about Jamaicans not being able to use their own things in their own country. This is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It's not about color or whatever. But I know color part. I know the light skin and the dark skin. We know that is another story for a different day. You know what I mean? So I think this is actually ridiculous. And I'll say, also some fishermen, I came across a story with some fishermen. What they're actually saying, they can't go to the beach as regular as they wanted to go and do their fishing because they're building this massive hotel somewhere in Chilani. And they've actually blocked off part of the part where they actually have to walk to go and to go their fishing. So they have to go through mud, gully, and all the rest of it to go and do their normal work because the situation is getting sort of ridiculous. And even if they want to have a swim, they can't get to have a swim where they want to do, and which is absolutely disgusting. And they say this is nothing new. And I recall also one story, which I'm not going to clarify this story, but I also recall another situation where they was talking about a hotel that got burned down in Portmore. Also in Port Antonio, where basically the Jamaicans wasn't allowed to go into this hotel. We see things floating around on Twitter and Instagram and all the rest about this fire that actually went off into a sort of an Asian hotel, which we're not condoning. We just say this was circling around in Twitter and all over the place. And they actually said this was because Jamaican wasn't allowed to use this hotel. And as I said, Ziggy Marley is actually calling for Jamaican government to open up the beaches so Jamaicans can actually use the beach and use the Jamaican facilities. Because it's bad being discriminated anywhere else in the world. But when you're in your own country and get discriminated against, it's absolutely ridiculous. Talk to me, Mr. Carl, Mr. Gabidan. What have you got your info? Talk to me about this.
Yes, Mr. Campbell, I can testify about this because I had an experience once I went down by Negril.
Yeah.
And I went by the beach and Negril. Mm-hmm. And when it was a group of us, right? A group of us. I was in the church and we had a men's group choir.
Yeah.
And we decided to go to Negril to a little beach event to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we get to Negril, we went on the beach, and when we look, we saw police and horses, and they come and telling us that we can't go certain places on the beach.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that?
Well, I was so saddened about the situation for knowing that we are born Jamaicans. You understand, and we can't enjoy our own resources here.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know if you go to a hotel or you go to a certain part, rules are rules. Let me get this straight out there. If you have rules, you know what I mean. There's rules. Understand? I mean, if I have a hotel, I have to have rules. You know what I mean. But I'm not gonna have rules to discriminate against anyone. You understand? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that is what very much make sense.
Yeah. As I say, it's one of those things which as I say, we know there's no smoke without fire because we know this has been going on for a very, very long time. And I hope they can come to sort out this, you know what I mean? And the government jump on it and sort it out, because this kind of thing, I mean, okay, you got the investors, you got to have investors in your country to develop your country, no matter where you are. But the normal people or the local people shouldn't be discriminated against. And the thing about this as well, Ziggy Marley says it takes him to sort of highlight this, because he actually feels what the real people is actually going through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
But not only Ziggy Marley talk about this. Also, other people talk about this. This happenings happening a long time ago. You know, a long time ago. I don't know if you saw the news down by White River. Which were a sentence where they are destroying the fisherman raft. They said they're not legal to go on the river to do any rafting down there.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I understand. I only mentioned Ziggy Marley because Ziggy Marley, I this is in the Gleaner, and this is also in the Dancehall magazine. You know what I mean? So, and it's at the moment that's why I actually picks up on it in the ministry. But we know it's been going on for a long time. Anyway, let me move on quickly because my time is actually running, and I want you to tell me a little bit what is on your mind before we actually finish the program. So, carry on. You're on.
Oh, what is on my mind?
Yes.
Okay, there's a whole lot of things on my mind, you know, Mr. Campbell.
I don't think we're gonna be able to deal with everything, but you can start, and we'll have you back on the show. We give you another live link up on the show. You know what I mean? So you can tell. I mean, you was telling me. Let's go for a fun one because I always ask this. You was telling me about Dopey. Let's finish with a fun one. You was talking about Dopey.
Yeah, I know you wanted to know about this thing about Dopey or spirit or ghost, but tell you the truth, when we talk about this thing about Dopey or if you had an experience and you try to share it with someone, and they would tell you that there's not such things as Dopey, or they don't believe that spirit is real or Dopey is real, because for a person who will go about saying that they don't believe about Dopey or spirit, is that person really don't born with the gift. You have to born with the gift to really know about the spirit world.
Okay. And what
so if you don't born with
what gift?
If you don't born with that gift,
what gift would you say that is? How would you describe that gift?
Well, you have to born with that gift of discernment, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. If you don't born with that gift, you will never know about the spiritual world, because there's two worlds out there, the physical world and the spiritual world. Sometimes when you tell someone that some strange things happens to you, they tend not to want to believe, because they don't really have having the gift.
Okay.
They understand to know about the spiritual world.
All right.
Well, the Almighty made us, each and every one of us, with five senses.
Mm-hmm.
The senses of hearing, seeing, feeling, tasting. You understand?
Okay. I understand.
Feeling.
I can hear you.
Hearing.
I hear you.
Well, yeah. So with all these five senses, and whenever time things happens around us, you understand, we must can analyze it by using the next sense, common sense, and try to interpret whatsoever you hear, or whatsoever you feel, or whatsoever you sees. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have had experiences, and all these experiences that I have having with spirit from a very young age, from the age of about 10 years old, I've been experiencing the spiritual world, that these things are real.
That is very interesting. That is very interesting.
Yeah. So if I never haven't happened to see anything or to feel anything, I wouldn't believe that these things are real.
Okay.
But Dopey, our spirit, our ghost, it is very much real.
Okay. Let me say thank you.
Whether you want to believe it whether you want to believe it or not, it is very much real.
Oh, yeah. Let me say thank you for taking part in the program. We're gonna, as you say, we're gonna have to link you back very, very soon. Yeah. And
Yeah, so when you link me back on the next show, I can share all these experiences with you.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You can do that. That is great. That would be great. How you find the show tonight? You enjoy the show?
I enjoy the show very much, Mr. Campbell.
Let me say thank.
It's so awesome.
Let me say thank you, Mr. Carlos. Let me say I have to go. My time is here. Let me say thank you guys for tuning into the program. Thank my very, very special guest all the way from Jamaica, Mr. Carlos Gavidan. Let me say a big shout out to you. Don't forget to catch us next week with another What's on Your Mind. Next week we go to Canada. Yeah. Miss Jennifer S. Wallace, the author. We talk to her next week right here on Breakthrough TV. We've done a program with her before. Look at week 88, yeah? And you catch us there as well. And say big shout out to you. Miss Jennifer S. Wallace, or Mrs. Jennifer S. Wallace, let me say, big shout out to you. Want to say thank my producer. Thank you guys for tuning into the program. My time is here. God bless you.